Is it a screen is visible, right? I have opened the PPT. PPTs I have opened. So here, how the communications. Suppose you have objects. You have created one or you have created two objects. So how those objects will communicate? So the objects are communicated with each other with the help of functions or procedures, and any data and functions can be easily added whenever necessary. So whenever it is necessary, you can add the functions or procedure to your existing code. And this Java object-oriented programming language follows bottom-up approach in programming design. Next, these are the basic concepts of object-oriented programming. So there will be the class is there and object. So each class having the methods and data members, and to access those, to call that functions or methods, we need to create an object. So as you know that object is nothing but what's instance of a class, or it's a real world entity. So object is a real world entity. And data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, data binding, message communication, all these considered as a object oriented OOPS concepts, right? So we'll see one by one what is object and what is class. So here objects, whenever you are choosing the object, whenever you're creating object, the program object should match closely with the real world object. Means you have to choose the meaningful object names. And if you say any programming problem, first you have to analyze the given problem in terms of objects and nature of the communication between them. So here, whenever you are specifying the one or two objects, so here when you are creating a more than one object for a particular class, so with the use of that object, you are going to call a particular method of a particular class. And object contains data and code to manipulate the entire data. So here, through the object, you can access the data, and you can access the function, not only function or not only methods, you can also access the data members of particular class. And as you know that a class defines the data and code that should be included in each object of that class. Means class defines, as you know that in class we are going to combine both data members and member function. Data members is nothing but if you take a class fan, so what are the properties of a class fan? It is having a wings, it having colors, it having weight. These are the class members. And what are the functions? Rotate function is there, those called functions. So both of data members and functions are embedded within the class. Now coming to the data encapsulation. So just now I said that combining or wrapping the data and methods into a single unit is known as encapsulation. So what we are going to achieving with the help of a data encapsulation, what is the advantage for combining the wrap up of data and methods into a single section or single unit? So this ensures that ensures the data is hidden, means it's not visible. And one more point is a method of an object provides an interface between data of the object and the program. So you may be having more than one methods in a particular class, and with the help of class object, we are going to provide an interface between the data of the particular object and the program. Is clear? What is mean by data encapsulation? Data encapsulation is nothing but a combining or wrapping of data and methods into a single section or single unit is called encapsulation, not data encapsulation. Now, as you know that inheritance next concept is inheritance. So already we know that inheritance is the process of, it's a process by which object of one class can acquires the properties of object of another class. So previous class, as I said that there are suppose you have created a one class A and you created one more class that is named as class B. Now this is called base class and this is called child class, right? So here whatever data members your methods members data members and methods you are specified in this base class A, these methods and data members can be acquired or inherited by the derived class, that is B. This is a process of inheritance, means it's a process of it's a process by which object of one class, means object of class B acquires the properties of class A. This is the inheritance process, means inheritance concept. So what is the advantage of using inheritance? What is the advantage? What is the advantage of using inheritance? Anyone respond? What is the main advantage of using inheritance?
We can access the parent class methods.
Okay, accessibility. Okay, acquiring or accessing the parent class methods from the derived class. That is a process of inheritance. My question is, what is the advantages? You used inheritance concept in C++ also, right? Use it, right? So all object-oriented programs supports in this inheritance concepts. My question is, what is the main? So here only second point is mentioned here. It provides the idea of reusability. What is the reusability here? Code reusability. So one method is there. Suppose that there is a method called draw function, or it may be any other function is there. Same method, no need to implement in derived class. So same code can be used here. Only thing is you need to create an object of this class A, and then you can call, with the help of that object, you can call the method of class A from derived class B. So code reusability is one of the advantages of using inheritance. Next concept is polymorphism. The previous class only I given an example of how the polymorphism is achieved. Here poly means many, morphism means many forms. So here polymorphism means it is having ability to take more than one form. So here in class A, I have written function draw method. So this draw method, same function name you are using, but if you have one more class called C here, you have two classes. Then class B and class C, you execute the draw method, but the output of these two methods is different. One draw method displays draws the circle, and another method draws the triangle. So it's called ability to take more than one form. So same function, it behaves differently in the different class. So having more than one form. That is a polymorphism. Next, coming to the next concept is dynamic binding. So you may observe there are what do you mean by binding here? There are two types, dynamic binding and static binding. Binding means what? So whenever you execute a particular class or of Java class file, so that class can contain methods. That method may be private or public. Right here, dynamic binding is nothing but what? Whenever the method is called, so that calling method has to be happens. That binding process happens during runtime. During runtime, the particular method, which method we need to call. Suppose in polymorphism technique, so I mentioned if you have two same method name, so whenever you're calling from the child class, so during runtime it will decides which method it has to call. So that decision is taken at runtime. So that is called dynamic binding. So another name for dynamic binding is late binding. Another name for dynamic binding is late binding. So if the binding process happens at compile time, such binding is called static binding. And whenever it happens at runtime, that is called dynamic binding or late binding. So once you binding of particular methods like final method or static, private. So if you are binding of these properties, private, static, and final methods, these all binding happens at a compile time. Means these are all binding is taken at compile time. Hence it is called static binding. So once you declared any method as final, you cannot override that method. And what is the purpose of static? If you declared any variables or data members as static, or if you declare any method as static, then without creating that is the purpose of binding. So two types of binding, dynamic and static binding. Static binding takes at compile time, dynamic binding takes place at runtime. So another name for dynamic binding is, what is another name for dynamic binding? What is another name? Respond me anyone. What is another name for dynamic binding? It is there in slide also, just you have to read it. Yes. Another name for dynamic binding is late binding. Next concept is message passing. So here in single class, you may created multiple objects, and those objects communicate by passing the messages. So here object A is there and object B is there. So here whenever calling a particular method, that message has to be passed here. So here receiving object, what it does, it will create the method is called here. So objects communicate with each other by sending and receiving messages. So while sending a message, it contains the object name and the name of the method and information to be sent. For example, here employee dot salary. So here salary is a method and employee is an object. So here it's sending a message. So what the information it's going to send? It's sending the name. And what is the method name here? The method name is salary. In this way, the communications happens between two objects. This is called message passing as message communication. So communication takes place between two objects by passing the message. Next, these are the few advantages of using object-oriented programming. So as I mentioned that previously, with the help of inheritance, you can make use of existing code. Means reusability. Code reusability can be done. That is one advantage. So through inheritance, we can eliminate the redundant code and extend the use of existing classes. So instead of rewriting the same function, same method multiple times, so we can eliminating redundant code. Redundant is eliminated, and we can existing class also used here. So extending the use of existing class. So this is one of the advantage. And with the help of inheritance, we are going to saving a time and higher productivity. Higher productivity is nothing but we can implement many methods. New methods can be implemented. If any existing method is there in a base class, we can make use of that class. So in order to, by making use of code reusability, we are going to save a development time. And one more advantage is by making use of data encapsulation, or we are going to provide a secure. So we are making sure that our program is secure with the principle of data hiding concept. So with the help of data hiding, it produces a more secure program. And next point is, it is possible to map object in the problem domain to those objects in the program. So as that, whenever a problem statement is given, we need to create an object and we need to map each object. So how those objects are accessible to the particular method, how they are related to the solving the particular problem. And another advantage is it is easy to partition the work in a project based on the object. So we are going to dividing the entire large program into sub-modules, and those sub-modules are called methods. Or you can create another different class. Then you can creating object of that class, you can call the method which is existing in another class. Suppose I have three classes: class A, class B, and class C. Right. So I need I have developed an applications. So in that there are three classes are there. So each three classes entire project is means entire project contains three classes, and in each three classes having different methods. So here all these three classes are interrelated, right? So here the class B is the intermediate base class, and this kind of relationship between the classes is called which type of inheritance. If I implement the code, if I write the classes or implement the methods in the class, so I am created three classes. So if I'm representing the relationship between these three classes, so which type of inheritance we are calling it is class A, class B, class C. So class is derived from class B, and class B is again derived from class A. This kind of implementing a class is called what kind of inheritance?
Multi-level.
Yes, good. So in this way, so here class C can use the methods which is present in class B as well as class C. Right. So the code reusability is also done, and we're dividing the major means we're dividing the entire task into 3. Each object of this class and calling that methods with the help of object. So from class C, I can call method of class B as well as method of class A, right? So with the help of object. So that's what it's easy to partition the work in a project based on the object or objects. And system can easily be upgraded from small to large system. So you can upgrade your environment. You can upgrade your JDK, or you can upgrade your software and hardware configurations also. It is easy if you're using the object-oriented programming, and software complexity can be easily handled. So these are the advantages of using object-oriented programming. Next, coming to the structure. If you're writing the Java program, so obviously that has to be compiled with the help of Java compiler, and that Java source code may be applet type or it may be application type. If it is you're writing a program applet type, means that you need to make use of browser. In that browser, Java enabled option will be there. Java enabled means there if that browser is able to, if you enable the Java enabled option is there. If you enable means then only that applet program will execute. If it is non-applet program means it will make use of Java interpreter. So Java interpreter is a part of the JVM, right? Yes or no? So once the Java compiler generates the code, that is class file, that class file will be the input for the Java interpreter. Java interpreter will generate the machine understandable form. That is machine readable output will be generated here. And what are the steps for creating or implementing your Java program? What are the steps? First, we need to create a Java program. Means we have to write the source code in the notepad, then save. We need to save that file. Then we have to go to command prompt. Then we have to compile with the help of some commands, Java C and that file name .java. Then next step is you have to run your program, right? So these are the 3 steps for implementing any Java program. Yes or no? These are the 3 steps, right? First, you need to create your file, Java file. Then you have to save with the .java extension. Then you have to compile with, you have to compile your code. Then you have to run your program. So after compiling, it will generate the bytecode or class file. Then that class file will be the input for our JVM. So with the interpreter, Java interpreter, what it does, it will run the .class file. So if you write a program hello.java, then you save that file in bin folder. When you install JDK, that bin directory will be created. In that one, your hello.java file exists. Once after compiling, in that folder itself .class file is also generated. Then after running, corresponding exe file for particular Java file also displayed, means also generated with that file also visible here. And these are the steps you know already. So here source code has the extension file extension .java, and if your program contains multiple classes, and the file name must be the class name of the class which contains the main method. That is one rule is there. Suppose you have okay, single class is there, means obviously there is a main method, so you need to specify the file name and class name. You have to give the file name, whatever class name you mentioned, same the class name is name is mentioned as a file name. In case if you have multiple classes, means then your file name should match the name of the public class of a source code. So usually public class contains the main method. So from the execution will start. Yes or no? Suppose you have multiple classes. So the class which contains the main method, so that class name has to be given as a file name, and the execution will start from the main method. Yes or no? Yes, right? This is a, so in the command prompt, once you save the file, you need to compile your code. Means you have to compile your source file. To compile Java program, we need to type this command javac and the name of the source file. Example, my source file for my name given as a example.java. So you need to specify the name of the file. Once you compiled, then each file with the dot class extension contains the bytecode corresponding to that class. Means once you compiled, corresponding file name is example, right? So example.class file will be generated. This class file contains the bytecode corresponding to that class. Which class? This example class. Are you getting right? Yes or no? So this is a step for compiling. And once the class file is generated, so we need to run the program. Means, so here interpreter name is here Java. This interpreter Java is used to interpret, means you have to run the file. So this is an interpreter, and here this is a class name. So here whenever you write this one, so this interpreter will search for the example.class file. So this class file, where it will be available? This example.class file will be generated within the bin folder. Right. So this is our first program, and this is a comment section. So this is a comment. So in C language, you are using this comment. So here in Java also it is valid. So here class example. So here you can specify public also. If you're not specifying, by default it will treat it as a public. It should be public. If it is private, means you cannot execute this program. So your main method, the class which contains a main method, that method should be public, and also method also should be a public here. So why you are making it as every time main method is static? What is the reason? So I can write public void main string args. Will it execute? What is the purpose of making this method as a static? Public static void main. Anyone tell me what is the reason? So here, as you know that what is public, private, protected? These are called access specifiers, right? Public, private. So here, every time I'm making main method as static means, if here it is non-static method means you need to create object of this class, then only this method get called. If it is normal method, if it is a non-static method, then you need to create an object every time. So once you made it as this main method as static means without creating an instance, this method get called. Whenever you will compile your this class file, this main method is called, and the statement, whatever statement you are writing within the main function, that is executed. This statement get executed. And here string args. This is array of string, and this indicates that whatever commands you are passing through command line prompt, Java C space file name dot Java. After once compiling, then you are running a program. Java space class name. Then you can pass an argument also, command line argument. So those arguments are treated as an array of string. That's the reason we are defining this array is of type string. So make sure that this is a case sensitive. Java program is case sensitive language. So once you made as a class name, starting letter is capital means here you have to save the file name is also capital. While compiling also you have to give as capitals. If you are specifying small e, then it won't recognize. And here also s should be a capital. And now coming to the system dot out dot println. What is this system here? What is this system? So in C++, in C language you're using printf statement, right? Printf and scanf. Those are functions are predefined. Printf and scanf. In which header file? stdio.h, right? You are using that header file, right? Similarly, this is system is a class. System.out.println. This is a println is a method. So this println method is defined in this class, system class. We'll see. Next slide will give the explanation of more clarity about this access specifiers, why it is called static, what is string args. So how many access specifiers is there in C++ said? Access specifiers. Other than public, any other, you have 3 more access specifiers. What are those?
Protected, private.
Okay. Private, protected. Good. So what is the reason that our main method must be a public? Because that method must be called by some code or block of code which is defined outside its class. So suppose I have 2 classes, class A and class B. Okay. Right. In single file, I have created 2 classes, and here in this class, I specified the main method. In single file, I have created 2 classes, and in class A, I have written main method. That method is defined as a public. Then if it is not public, if it is private means, then I cannot call this method from class B. So in order to call this main method from outside its class, then it should be a public. This method should be a public. Then only I can call this main method. And as mentioned, why it is should be static here? It should be declared as static because main method called without creating any object of its class. So this class A contains main method. If it is static, means no need to create object of this class, directly we can call from class B. Suppose if any data members are there in class A or methods are, suppose class A contains display method, it's a non-static method. To call the display method, I need to use the object of this class A, then only I can call. If it is static method, means no need to create object, directly you can call. That is the main reason of making the main method as a static. And next one is string arguments. So it's an array of object of type string class, and each object type string contains the character string, and it is used to manipulate the command line arguments. So we see what are the command line argument, how we are passing. So through command line only we are going to pass an argument. And next, coming to the println statement, println. So normally printf statement you are using C language, and in C++, which statement you are using for printing the any statements in C++? Okay, I will share attendance link. Wait for C in or C out for printing a particular string or content on the display on the monitor. C out, yes. So here system predefined class that refers to system. So the system is a predefined class, and out means it is a static data members of a system class. This is a static members of a system class, and println is a member of a out object. Means println is it's a member of object out, and this object is a this out is a static data member of a system class. That's what we are using, system.out.println. You can use print also, but ln means it will insert the new line character after printing any statement. That is the use of, that is the reason of mentioning print ln. Ln is nothing but it's a similar to /n. This is the one program example. So here I have two classes, class test and class add num. Here, whenever so I mentioned here, whenever you have two classes within the single file, then what is the file name I have to give? Either I have to give addnum.java or test.java. Tell me, what is the file name I have to save? Test.java or addnum.java?
Class test.
Yes, good. Because this class test having the main method. Then I'm making use of two variables of type integer, and I'm assigning the value 123. Then I am creating object of this class, means addnum, because this class contains the method for adding the two numbers, right? So here object class name, object name, this is object name and a new operator, then this is a method which is present in this addnum. So whenever this statement is encountered, the control will comes here, and then it will look for the method add num in this class. So here, this is the way of creating object where we are calling the method here. This add method is called in this statement. This is a for creating object, class name, object name, new keyword, and this one is a constructor of that class. Then within the printf statement, we are calling this object name and the method name. Then we need to pass the values. 123 is passed here, and which is actual parameter, which is formal parameters. We have two types of actual and formal parameters. These are the parameter passed during function call, that is called actual parameters, and these are the formal parameters. And 123 is added, and this function returns the value after adding. Then that will be printed here, the addition. Or else, if you want to make it 2 print means, then you have to use this is separate statement. Like you take one more variable like int c, then you can assign like this. Before printf statement, you write like this: c equal to object dot add num, add. So you're passing a and b. So this function, whatever result is returning here, that result is stored in C, right? That value will be printed here. So same thing, you have to use system dot out dot println, then addition or sum equal to plus C. So like this also you can print, or else directly you can write here. Directly you can call here itself, correct? You can directly call, or else you can call here and store the result in this third variable. That variable is printed here. Like this also, correct. So these are the points we need to remember. So if Java course contain multiple classes, the name of the source code must be same name of the only public class of that code. Means that's the name. Just now I specified, right? The main the class which contains a main method, that class name should be given as a file name. So the class which contains the main method, that is considered as a starting point of your program execution. And as you know that object of a class is created with the help of new operators. Okay, I'll post again as well. And method of a class is accessed through an object of that class. So without creating object, you cannot access, right? So you need to create object of that class, then you can call the method accessed through the object of that class. Then this symbol, plus symbol you are using, right? You are using in system.out.println. This method, what it does, it will concatenate two strings here. So this is one string. This is the result, what you are getting. This method returns one value, right? This 123 is another string. So it will concatenate this and this result, and it will display the addition colon 123 to display. So that is, this operator is what it does, it will concatenate two strings. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue with the next class. Wait, I will share the attendance link. Everyone fill this attendance form. Is it opening, right, form? Is it opening, right? Okay. Once you filled it, you can log out. Fill it fast.